Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn Japanese Daily. It's me, Nami. I'm happy to see you again in this lesson today. Do you remember in the last lesson what we have learned? Try to remember it again. I will give you 1 minute to relive things you remembered. To review the lesson is very important, especially for language learners. I will set up the clock in 1 minute, so don't waste the time. Now let's get started. One minute is over. Now, let's compare your answer with the resume of the previous lesson. The content of the last lesson involved, first of all, the introduction of Japanese language. Do you remember it? No, it's okay. You can just remember that Japanese is very interesting. The better you learn, the more chances you open up. The second content is the writing systems. The hiragana, it represents Japanese language. Katakana, it represents foreign words. Kanji, it is borrowed from Chinese characters. And the last one, Romaji, it is the Latin script. All above is what we have learned last time. How many percentage do you remember? Let's check your results. If you remember less than 80%, it means you are unqualified. You should spend more time to practice. To look over again the lesson is very necessary, because our brain can forget quickly. That's why we should make an effort from the beginning. If you can remember over 80%, it shows that you are really interested in learning Japanese. Wow, you're a very hardworking person. Please keep going like this. I'm sure that you will learn Japanese very fast. Do you know what? There are some persons can remember 100%, really 100%. How can they remember 100%? Well, they are not only learn 100% according to the last lesson, but also find some information about Japanese language, research tips to learn Japanese well, even looking for the alphabets. Wow, subarashi! You are very excellent. You do more than requirement. You have the factor of becoming a leader. You always be leading and no one have to encourage you. With each request we set out, each of us have different handling methods, right? The way we respond or handling the situation will give us exactly what we deserve. Some persons complain that I have learned Japanese for a long time, but it's still difficult. They spend lots of time for it, but feels like treading water. Actually, it was because you haven't made effort enough. Instead of wasting time to complain about it, we should push our energy to do it better. Make a great effort, then you will see the result will be different. Before we start our lesson, I will introduce to you the content and requirements of the lesson today. The content include 25 letters in 5 lines. The requirements of the lesson you need to know. The way how to read and write 25 letters. And practicing and remembering 25 letters. In this lesson, you have to practice more so that it doesn't take more than 3 seconds to remember how to write or read each. For example, when you see the letter A, Make sure it doesn't take more than 3 seconds to read it, or the letter E don't take a long time to write it. The standard is 3 seconds. If it takes more than 3 seconds, you should make a list of those letters to learn it again. Let's start with the first line. A, I, U, E, O. A, I, U, E, O. Let's start with the first letter. This letter read A. Like when a doctor tells you open your mouth and you say A. In some sentences, you can hear it read a little bit different because Japanese people add more tones to make it easy to speak and suitable for the context. This letter pronounced a little bit different from English alphabets. In English, A is read like A, but in Japanese, it's read A. In writing, you write in the following order. Look at the picture in the screen and your writing book follows the order to write it correct. Next, we will move to the letter E. The way to read E. E in Japanese like E in English, such as eat, meat. In writing, you take a note, the second stroke is only a half of the first stroke. The third letter. The way to read U. U. U in Japanese like U in English, such as soon. In writing, as you can see in the picture, the second stroke is wider than the first stroke in both sides. First stroke is smaller, but you don't write it too small. Especially, the first and the second stroke are not cut each other. Next is E. The way to read E is pronounced like E in the word elk. E. In writing, you notice that the first and second stroke are not cut each other. This letter has a stroke of trapezoid. It's wider than it stretched down. Finally, the letter O. The way to read O is pronounced like O, like you're surprised on something. O. In writing, as you can see in the picture, the second stroke is slightly deviated to the left. The third stroke is sloping down parallel to the curved part of the second stroke. So in here we have already learned the first line of the hiragana. Now let's read it all together again. A, I, U, E, O. A, I, U, E, O. A, I, U, E, O. Next, let's move to the second line, line K. The first letter, Ka. Way to read Ka. Ka. In writing, these two strokes are curved to the left and quite parallel to each other. The third stroke is short and outermost. The beginning of the third stroke should be equal or higher than the second stroke. The next letter is Ki. Ki. In writing, you can see the first stroke and the second are parallel. The second stroke is equal or longer than the first stroke. At the end of the third stroke, it has a small stroke. Just pull it high to the left. The next letter is Ku. Ku. This letter is very easy. It has only one stroke. The next letter is K. K. In writing, you can see the first stroke have a small stroke above. The first and second stroke have curved in opposite directions. And the last letter of the row, Ko. Ko. In writing, as you can see in the picture, the first and second stroke are slightly parallel to each other. At the end of the first stroke has a small stroke below to the left, and the second stroke starts slightly higher than the bottom. So we have learned the second row of hiragana, the row K. Let's read again all the letters. Ka, Ki, Ku, Ke, Ko. Ka, Ki, Ku, Ke, Ko. Ka, Ki, Ku, Ke, Ko. Next, let's move to the third row with S. First letter, Sa. Sa. In writing, the second and third stroke are connected together. The second letter is Si. 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 It reads same like she in English. In writing, this letter is easy to write it. It looks like a fish hook. Next letter is Su. 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 The next letter is Se. Se. In writing, in this letter, the second stroke you can pull a small stroke to the left, or not is okay. The third stroke starts with a straight line down. Near the bottom, it gradually bends to the left, and ends with a horizontal stroke. And the last letter of this row is So. 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 In writing, with the end of the stroke, you should bend the middle axis of the letter a little bit, so it makes the letter look steadiness. So the third row is finished, the row S. Let's read the whole of the letters again. Sa, Si, Su, Se, So. Sa, Si, Su, Se, So. Sa, Si, Su, Se, So. So how do you think? It is not as hard as many people think, right? Let's move to the fourth row, the row T. Ta. The first letter, Ta. Ta. In writing, take a close look. You can see the third and fourth stroke is small, like a small ko. The next letter is Chi. Chi. This is a special letter. Instead of reading T like other letters, it reads Chi, like the word cheese. In writing, this letter is relatively easy to write. Next letter is Tu. 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 When you read this letter, take a note. First, the tongue must touch upper jaw, compressed a bit slightly, then say it Tu. Tu. This letter is quite difficult to pronounce, but it's just okay. Just try to listen to the record and practice. In writing, watch carefully this letter slightly goes down or goes sideways, then it rounds up. The end point of the stroke is inside of the starting point a bit. Next letter, te, te, te. In writing, you notice that the curve below doesn't curve too much to the left. It should cross the axis of the horizontal line slightly above. The last letter of this row, to, to, to. In writing, the first stroke can be struck down or crossed to the right is okay. So the fourth line of hiragana was done, row T. Now let's read it again. Ta, chi, tsu, te, to. Ta, chi, tsu, te, to. Ta, chi, tsu, te, to. Let's move to the next row. The next row is row with N. The first letter, na, na. In writing, the third stroke is small slash to the left. The fourth stroke you can also write the same alpha, or write a head straight down to the bend it up. The next letter, ni, ni. In writing, can you see the right part? It looks like the letter ko. So in this letter, try to write the first, second, and third stroke closely. In some cases, if you see a letter that they connect the end of the second stroke to the beginning of the third stroke, it is also this letter. The next letter, nu, nu, nu. The next letter, ne, ne. This letter has only two strokes. The second stroke is like a signature. And the last letter is no, no. This letter is easy to write, right? Remember, when you turn the bend, it must touch in the first point. Don't leave it open. Now, let's resume the row. Na, ni, nu, ne, no. Na, ni, nu, ne, no. Na, ni, nu, ne, no. So, today we have learned 25 letters. It is the first 25 letters of hiragana. You have to practice to write it down and pronounce it correctly. There are some memorized methods to look back on those letters, like the letter ku. You can imagine the word ku is similar to our mouth when looking horizontally. However, even this is another way to study, but I advise you not to use this way. Why? Because it will slow down your memory and also your speed read. All of these letters will use mainly same as alphabets A, B, C in English. So you should turn it into automatically. It means take the standard 3 seconds. Remember, I said at the beginning of the lesson. When you see the letter no, at least in 3 seconds, you have to read it no without consider. But first, just try to write it correctly. You can download the practice writing file below the video, then print it. After that, you can use the memorization technique by the list or use memo cards. Practice it until you can remember it in 3 seconds. If you try to study hard each day a little, I'm sure it will take 1 week to make the hiragana and katakana stuck in your head. You will react very quickly when you see any letters. So the homework today is learn 25 letters and try to write it down and pronounce it many times until correct. And good luck for your study. Ganbare. Sayonara.